Hi, my name is Joshua Kemble. This is vlog number 4, and this is the vlog where I discuss Quarterly Stories, which is my graphic novel based on faith and mental illness. It's a very personal story to me, and this is the vlog where I document the process of creating all of this artwork that you can find at quarterlystories.com. This video is going to be a process video showing me inking page 36 of my graphic novel. After the video, go check out at quarterlystories.com. I'm also, in this case, because I've shown a few sped up process videos before, which you can see on my channel after you subscribe, because I've shown a lot of sped up process videos but without any explanation of what's really going on in the video, I thought it might be helpful for those of you who might be working on comics or curious what I use, what tools I use, and how I execute my artwork. I thought it might be helpful to comment over the video. So, thanks to everybody who's commented, shared, and subscribed to my YouTube channel, which you can do right down there by clicking subscribe. It helps get the word out. It helps me, frankly, feel encouraged to keep doing these videos, and also just helps me to know what the community that I'm talking to is looking for. If there's content or anything else that you're interested in hearing about, let me know in the comments section, and I can cater videos directly to you. Without further ado, here's vlog number 4, showing the process of inking the entirety of page 36 of my graphic novel. So, as you can see, I've already done the lettering on this page before starting to record. And part of why that is one of my first steps in my process is to, on a sheet of Strathmore bristle, just to sketch out and work out my pencils. And then after that, I usually do all my ruling using a ruler, French curves, and a micron, and usually at like a 0.8 size micron to do all of the borders and the paneling and the lettering, so that I can just focus on the images. And then what I've done so far is used microns to create the line art, and in this case, on the face that I'm inking, I used a micron that was like a 0.01 and a micron that's a 0.05 for the thicker line art. So usually I'll work out and make sure all my contour lines are working, and then I go in with what you see me working with now. That little black tool is a pentel pocket brush pen. And what you'll see through this video is the majority of my artwork is completed and rendered with brush. So I use the brush in hatching and different levels of shading to get dimension. And one of the reasons I like the pentel pocket brush pen, as you'll notice, I'll quickly hatch over lines that I just laid, and there's not a lot of smearing that occurs because the ink dries very quickly. It's also quick to replace, and it's also easy to just put a cap on and not have to clean, and they're affordable enough to where, you know, it's advantageous to use. So here again, I've used the micron, and I'm penciling in this character Michael and his line art. And like I said, I usually start with the micron, so I did the majority of his line work with one, and now I'm doing the lines on his shirt. Now you might notice a piece of paper under my arm while I'm working. Here I am using the brush. But why I keep a piece of paper under my hand while I'm inking, some artists use like a little half glove. For me, just because usually from printing references and things like that, I have a lot of leftover paper, and I find that this is a really nice way to recycle and also protect my page from smudging. So this is a 19 by 24 Strathmore bristle board, and it's a pretty big way to work, but what I've found throughout the years, I used to work on like an 11 by 17 page. Sometimes I'd work at size on webcomics, and I think for the look and the very photoreal, but also super rendery way that I'm executing this, as you can see with the ink, with my pentel pocket brush pen. Part of why I like working so big is that it allows me to get details that I can't get at a smaller size, and I also realized a couple years ago that I just like drawing big. So once again, just using the micron to put all the line art in, and sometimes I'm also correcting line art as I'm going, and then I go in with the micron. So the thing I like also about the pentel pocket brush pen is the variety of line you can get. So I think for a brush it's about like a 10 in size. And so one of the things I like about that is you can go from a very fine line, which I use for hatching, and to a very thick line. I probably should have at some point used a nib. It might make this whole hatching and getting varying line weight thing easier than a brush, but for me I really took to the brush and just the bounce and the feel of a brush, and never quite got the drag of the nib. So right now, you'll also notice that I'm constantly moving the page, and that's because, especially with, like, usually my first layer of shading with my brush is kind of like a feathering technique, and in order to get a proper feathering, which is where you're doing multiple lines that are hatched parallel to each other, to where they almost make like a receding comb. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. But to get that line, you have to have a certain angle of your brush. And rather than have to navigate myself around my page to get that correct angle, I just constantly am moving the pages that I work on. And actually for this page, it's a little less movement because it's a little more straightforward. But what you'll notice throughout this video is just a lot of moving. So now I'm rendering these little panels that are images of this couple that are characters in my comic, and they're rendered like photographs. So once again, you know, micron, that's probably a 0.1, and just a lot of pentel pocket brush pen. So what I use to rule my borders is there's a certain brand of rolling ruler that I'll show in some future videos. That's very cool. It's not your typical plastic rolling ruler. And I find that that's really awesome for getting clean parallel lines. And then I use a long ruler, and I use a lot of French curves and circle templates. So there I am drawing the beard of this character. And one of the beauties of microns that I like is because they're kind of cheap and they have a felt tip. Unlike like a repeatograph, which is a much more expensive pen that gets about the same effect. Once these die, you can kind of toss them and just make sure you have an arsenal of extras. So here I'm drawing pugs. There's 3 pugs that these characters own. And this page is introducing them. And so I am working the line art, and then now, if my head gets out of the way, I am using a pentel pocket brush pen to shade in and really work and give depth and dimension to the page. So one of the things you'll also notice is hand lettering on all of my work. This was pre-lettered before I started filming, because that was one of the earlier steps that I had already completed. And here's the finished page. And that was probably about 2 or 3 days of work. So, that's it for vlog number 4. If you like this video, please comment, share, like, and most of all, hit the little subscribe button down below, and you'll be notified the next vlog and when it's updating. Thanks again. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for your time. And thanks again for your comments. It really keeps me encouraged and keeps me pumped about making content for this comic. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I recommend going to quarterlystories.com and clicking on the first button and just reading the entirety of the story. And if you think it sucks, just let me know in the comments section. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.